Good afternoon. I would like to call our meeting to order with a quick roll call. Regent Acker.
Present.
Regent Beam.
Here.
Regent Bernstein.
Present.
Regent Brown.
Here.
Regent Hubbard.
Here.
Regent Illich. Regent Myers.
Here.
Regent White.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for our first meeting of 2025. I'd especially like to welcome Regent Carl Myers for his first meeting of his term. Let's give him a round of applause. Carl is also our very first regent to have graduated from the University of Michigan Dearborn. And we're proud to have held your oath of office ceremony there earlier this year. We're so glad that you're with us, Carl. Looking to the future, we're facing a time of some challenge and change from policies and executive orders emanating from Washington, D.C. The implications of many of these measures are unclear at this time and will likely depend on how they're interpreted and applied, both by agencies and ultimately by the courts. I think you'll agree that this is a critical moment for higher education. Through my role as a board member and chair of the Council of Presidents of the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, my role on the board of the American Council on Education, and my position as a member of the board of the Association of American Universities, I would say that the University of Michigan, through a number of individuals, is guiding our sector through this remarkable period of change. I've been in near constant communication with presidents from other universities to craft a sector-wide strategy to engage constructively with the new administration. When the National Institutes of Health issued a directive that all future and current research grants will be subject to a 15% cap on indirect cost reimbursements, I worked with partners from the APLU to mobilize a coalition of 22 attorney generals, including Michigan's Attorney General Dana Nessel, who co-led the lawsuit. We succeeded in winning a critical but temporary restraining order on that NIH directive. The NIH directive and other federal guidance carry significant financial implications. The chief financial officer of the university and his larger team are carefully tracking changes and modeling a variety of potential outcomes. We are fortunate in maintaining a strong financial position, and we are taking steps to be as prepared as possible to respond wisely and quickly to any financial impacts that may lie ahead. As a public university, we have a responsibility to ensure that we are efficient in our use of dollars from American taxpayers. Given the recent challenge to indirect costs, I've taken the step of asking my entire team to conduct a careful analysis of these indirect cost reimbursements to ensure that we are providing the maximum return on investment from the state of Michigan and citizens across the nation. Though we are navigating many changes, I want to make one thing very clear to the members of the university. This university will remain steadfast in its commitment to academic freedom, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression. Our distinguished faculty must be able to exchange ideas, question assumptions, challenge views, and engage with the broadest range of scholarly subjects and materials. These freedoms remain the lifeblood of any great academic institution. There should be no limitation on that academic freedom. Scholarship, research, and curriculum must remain in the purview of our faculty. I'd like to thank our regents for their counsel and support, as well as the entire leadership team, and the deans for their diligence and expertise in conversations, in reviewing these federal actions and working to understand their implications for our community and for the sector. As we move forward, we will stay true to our values as a university and to our ethos. Meanwhile, we have much to be proud of and much to be thankful for in our achievements as a university. This week, Times Higher Education ranked the University of Michigan as the 18th best university in the world and number 11 in the US. The rankings are determined using data collected from more than 55,000 academics and scholars globally and assess the prestige of the institutions in the areas of research and teaching. The University of Michigan is consistently one of the top 3 public universities in the US to have cracked into this top 20 group of world universities. It's an extraordinary achievement and one that should instill pride from all of us. While the university is a powerhouse research institution, we also play a formidable role in the arts and humanities and the social sciences. In order to continue to advance the arts on campus and support the goals of our Vision 2034, we announced in early February that we have committed $5 million over the next 5 years to develop our public art collections. We have a beautiful collection of art on campus, on all of our campuses. This will include commissioning an internationally celebrated artist to create a special piece of public art for the Ann Arbor campus, one that will enrich our sense of community and belonging and heighten our awareness of wonder and possibility. In concert with our commitment to sustainability and climate action, I'm pleased to announce that we are significantly accelerating those efforts through the establishment of the Sustainability and Climate Executive Leadership Council. The council will be composed of Shalanda Baker, our inaugural Vice Provost for Sustainability and Climate Action, Shanna Weber, our inaugural Associate Vice President for Campus Sustainability, and Tony Denton, our Senior Vice President and Chief Environmental, Social, and Governance Officer for Michigan Medicine. I think some of them are here, I think over there. Would you please stand so we can give you a round of applause? I'd say they're the dream team, and together they will act as a leadership team for these critical areas for our university, as well as across the impact areas of our Vision 2034 and Campus Plan 2050. I've seen all 3 of them in action, and they really are a dynamic, not duo, but trio. And so we're really lucky to have you on our team. Some of you are not new, but really I'm excited about the path forward with Vision 2034 with the 3 of you at the helm. Speaking of impact areas, most of you know that the university is taking a year to celebrate each of the 4 impact areas that are part of Strategic Vision 2034. While this academic year has been focused on the year of democracy, civic empowerment, and global engagement, I'm very pleased to announce today that next year will be dedicated to the priority of life-changing education, and will feature lectures and events to explore this important pillar of the university's vision. In recent months, we have also made important strides in science. Our researchers have engineered a new chip connection system, which uses light rather than electrical wires to speed data transfer, a technology that could boost the training speed and size of artificial intelligence models. University of Michigan researchers also joined with scientists from Stanford University to develop a new brain-computer interface. which empowers people with paralysis to move a virtual quadricopter simply by thinking about moving their fingers. Thanks to this unprecedented level of control, they can socialize with others, participate in remote work, and even enjoy recreational activities. And in collaboration with researchers from Rice University in Texas, University of Michigan engineers have developed a new water purification technology, one that could replace the tons of expensive chemicals conventionally used with simple carbon cloth electrodes, saving billions of dollars and making seawater a more affordable and accessible source of drinking water. This is why research is so important at this university. It's our ability to make new discoveries, to develop new innovations and technologies, to lift and transform, and yes, cure diseases and save lives. So I'm looking forward to our continuing year of achievement together. Thanks again for joining us. Let's go to the rest of our business for this afternoon. Before we do so, I would like to call on Regent Paul Brown to make some remarks. Oh, thank you so much. Well, anyway, it's great to see you here, Paul. We're going to move on to our presentation. Provost Macaulay will introduce an exciting topic. I've had a chance to actually see this in person, and it is really one of the most exciting things I've ever seen in my almost 3.5 decades in university administration. It's called Histotripsy, a Michigan discovery that's changing clinical care. And I'll hand it over to Provost Macaulay for the introduction.
Thank you, President Ono. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jen Xu. Dr. Xu is the Li Ka-shing Endowed Professor of Biomedical Engineering and Professor of Radiology and Neurosurgery. She's a role model of interdisciplinarity as the research she does bridges biomedical engineering, physics, and medicine, focusing on ultrasound therapy and imaging. She's excelled at advancing scientific discoveries into clinical implementation. This work has culminated in the successful implementation of a technology known as histotripsy. She's a co-inventor, pioneer, and leader of this revolutionary, non-invasive mechanical therapeutic ultrasound technology and a co-founder of Histosonics, a University of Michigan spin-off company that has successfully commercialized this breakthrough treatment. Dr. Xu has developed histotripsy for cancer, neurological, and cardiovascular applications. Her collaborative work across departments and disciplines has led to the FDA approval of histotripsy treatment for liver tumors. Dr. Xu has received numerous awards for her research, including the Lockhart Memorial Prize for Cancer Research from Focused Ultrasound Foundation in 2020. She's an associate editor for the peer-reviewed journals IEEE Transactions on UFFC and Frontiers in Biomedical Engineering. Dr. Xu has also served as the vice president of IEEE Ultrasonics and an elected board member of the International Society of Therapeutic Ultrasound. We are in for a treat today. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Jen Xu.
Oh, all right. Now everybody can hear me. Well, we do believe diseases can all be treated non-invasively. So my colleagues and I at Biomedical Engineering, Radiology, and the Urology Department co-invented histotripsy in 2002 at the University of Michigan. So we follow the practice that all medical terms are based in Greek. So histro means soft tissue, and tripsy meaning mechanical breakdown in Greek. And this is the first non-invasive technology to perform the real surgery, meaning mechanically remove tissue. So imagine you have an ultrasound delivered from outside the body, and by the device here in that video on the top, and producing this millimeter size of bubbles, cloud of bubbles. And the bubbles actually kill the target tumor without incision, without injury. And we co-founded Histotripsy in 2009 to translate this technology. So this is the Edison Histotripsy clinical system. This is the world's first non-invasive clinical histotripsy system, and assisted by robot arm and guided by real-time ultrasound imaging. And we have got FDA approval for non-invasive treatment of liver tumors in October 2023 using this Edison device produced by Histotripsy. So this short video shows that there's a demonstration of histotripsy treatment of a liver tumor sample. And the 7-point localization allow personalized power delivery and confirming targeting accuracy. The treatment itself is automatic, following a scan path by this robot arm based on the tumor outline on imaging. And the tumor is liquefied by histotripsy into acellular debris, so when you cut through the tumor, treated tumor, you can see the liquefied tumor debris actually leak out, okay? Then when you actually cut it open, you will see the gel surrounding it not damaged. So what are the clinical benefits of histotripsy? First, non-invasive. So here we're showing a central tumor located deep in the patient's liver. And 30 days after the treatment, you already see that there's a substantial regression of the tumor because those liquefied tumor debris actually reabsorbed by the body. And then the tumor surrounding it not damaged. Second, the high precision. Histotripsy is a threshold phenomenon, so you only generate damage within the focus when the ultrasonic pressure is above a threshold. You can see within the treated region, there's no cellular structures. And at the boundary here, I don't know if I can, there's new, at the boundary is really sharp. There's actually half of the cell that's remained and half of the cell get cut off. Real-time image guidance. So for non-invasive surgery, the clinicians is not opening up the patient to directly see the treatment. But however, histotripsy generated bubbles show up at this bright zone behind this red cross arrow indicating the focus. So the clinician can actually see the treatment to ensure safety and accuracy. No pain and a fast recovery. So most patients wake up from procedure. They ask, did I actually receive the treatment? Because they feel no pain. They go home the first day, have dinner, and then go back to work the second day. Tissue selective. So we found that critical structures such as large normal vessels and the bile ducts and the nerves, and those actually have a high resistance to histotripsy damage, such that we can treat immediately surrounding those regions while preserving those critical structures. And this has enabled the clinicians to treat surgically inoperable locations, such as a tumor sandwiched between vessels without damaging the vessels. And lastly, immunostimulation. We found that histotripsy actually stimulates this potent immune response, and in selected patients, treatment of one tumor actually results in substantial regression of dozens of non-targeted tumors. So within a year after the FDA approval, 30 hospitals within the United States has established the histotripsy clinical programs, including the University of Michigan Hospital and the U of M Health West. 80 hospitals purchased the system with more than 800 patients treated. Histotripsy, the U of M spin-off company, has raised $300 million with IPO planned late this year. So histotripsy is a platform technology. In addition to the liver tumors, it can also be used to treat, for example, a number of diseases, including tumors in the kidney, in the pancreas, sarcoma, which is a tumor arising from fat and muscle. And we actually have already clinical trials ongoing for treating tumors in the kidney and the pancreas. Also prostate, and the brain too, including hemorrhagic stroke, brain tumors, epilepsy, and also shallow targets such as skin tumors, thyroid tumors, and breast tumors. And our goal is to achieve 3 to 5 FDA approvals for new indications in the next 5 years. So our vision for the Histotripsy initiative to have impact in all these 5 areas. One is we want to further advance the technology and expand to new indications to place and sustain the University of Michigan as a #1 world leader in histotripsy. Second, for clinical translation, we plan to initiate 5 to 10 clinical trials, first-in-man trials, and also treat more than 1,000 patients at the University of Michigan Hospital, which will enable U of M health system to be the leader and the best for healthcare delivery innovation. For IP and the commercialization, we plan to file 60 new patents and license them. And based on the licensing agreement between University of Michigan and Histotripsy, we estimate of $50 million of royalty income in the next 5 years from Histotripsy as they are expected to reach $1 billion annual revenue by 2030. We also aim to establish certified education programs for our students and clinical fellows to cultivate the next generation of the scientists and clinical leaders in this rapidly growing field. And also, Histotripsy is expected to create 1,000 new jobs in the next 5 years, and Histotripsy is expected to contribute multi-billion dollars to the economy through the patient treatment and the Histotripsy revenue. So Histotripsy initiative is one example of our Look to Michigan 2034 campaign for innovation discovery to save lives, enhancing the quality of life, making ways for future leaders, and fueling transformation to advance society. Thank you, and go blue.
We have a couple of questions. We'll start with Regent Bernstein.
No questions, Professor Shu, but I just have an observation. If anybody has a question, I'll stop. Okay, so I want to say a few things. This is exactly the type of miraculous life-saving medical research that we do at U of M, and that occurs at America's extraordinary research institutions. And Santa, I'm grateful to you for your continued leadership in fighting threats to this very central mission as a global leader in research, because nothing exemplifies our role in society like this urgent and really impactful and life-saving work. It changes lives, it saves lives, and it's Michigan's greatest contribution to the world. And now it is under attack by, of all places, our own federal government. As I've said before, this institution is ripe for financial change. In fact, I voted against the budget last year for this very reason. Of course, we can and should save money, but medical research is worthy of more, not less investment. In addition to President Ono, former U of M President Mary Sue Coleman recently wrote that, quote, the major threat to institutions like the University of Michigan is a move to artificially limit indirect cost reimbursement balance to balance the budgets of agencies that support university research. 22 states, including this state, Michigan, filed suit Monday to block this action, and rightly so. There's actually a hearing tomorrow on this in federal court. A federal judge temporarily halted the change in those 22 states in response to the suit. Indirect costs are the facility and administrative expenses that universities incur while conducting work funded by the NIH, NSF, NASA, and other government agencies. The federal government strictly limits what can be requested as direct research funds. Universities cannot charge heat, light, waste disposal, animal care infrastructure, or regulatory compliance costs as direct costs. This despite the fact that the university must spend money on these essential costs to carry out and support this research. That's the end of President Coleman's quote. We should be explaining what is at risk here. And President Ono, you did so earlier, and will continue to do that. We should be explaining how NIH funding has created the infrastructure that leads to discovery, employment, economic development, and most importantly, saves lives. If you want to cure cancer, it will happen here. We just saw that, literally just saw that. If you want to cure pediatric DIPG or DMG brain tumors, it will happen here. If you want to cure Alzheimer's, it will happen here. If you want to cure diabetes or Parkinson's or ALS, it will happen here or at one of America's extraordinary research universities. This is not time to be fearful. Many institutions are saying, don't rock the boat, but the boat is sinking. This is a storm that will not blow over while we take cover. Amazingly, tragically, sadly, the federal government wants to take this away from us, and when it's gone, it could be gone forever. It took literally centuries to build these institutions and our capacity to engage in this type of life-saving research and scholarship. So if we don't fight, our government will take this all away from us. And by us, I mean, of course, this institution, but I mean the patients and the families who will benefit from these life-saving treatments and technologies. And it's not going across the state or across the country. All this funding is just going to go to other countries that will eagerly and generously support it. China or India or Europe, for example, will gladly pump funds into infrastructure so they can lead the world in medical discovery and development. Cancer diagnosis, pack your bags for Shanghai or Frankfurt or Mumbai. Does science matter? Does medicine matter? Does our life-saving mission matter? Of course it does. So right now we need to act like it and start telling the story and the impact that this type of research has on our society, on our patients, on our economy, and on our institution. So I'm honored to be a part of an institution that makes this type of remarkable discovery with these types of impacts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a scientific question? So, if you study an individual or an animal with multiple tumors and you do a genomic analysis, I mean, we're fortunate that many mutations that cause different kinds of cancers have been identified. And University of Michigan has been a leader, for example, in identifying the molecular basis of prostate cancer, as you know, with a specific translocation. But if you watch tumors as they develop and grow, even within a single tumor, you'll get heterogeneity, where you'll have changes in the genotype. And you also, as it metastasizes, you'll see even further changes in the genome. And you'll even have situations where the same kind of tumor arises from different mutations. And so, was one of the most striking things for me, not only the precision of the therapeutic impact of histotripsy, was the fact that you elicited an anti-tumor immune response. And so the question is, if you look at an individual with multiple METs, where science has shown that there's heterogeneity in the genome, do you see that some of them disappear and others do not? And can you map that to the genetic differences that can be determined relatively quickly with what we can do these days?
So we don't have the full results yet, but I think your intuition is correct because we have seen that in the preclinical study where there are multiple tumor types or tumor genetics in treatment of, for example, metastasis of primary liver tumor does not lead to shrinkage of melanoma mass into the liver, for example. So definitely the immune response that elicited is actually tumor specific and probably specific to the genetics makeup as well. And we here at University of Michigan, fortunately, is a great place to do that kind of study. So it's certainly part of the future plans that deeper into that so that we can, also that's another goal that I didn't state, that we also want to combine histotripsy with immunotherapy and genetic research so that we're not just doing a focal ablation, we want to actually have a systemic cure for cancer. And I think that can be done, and that will really change the whole landscape of cancer treatment for generations to come, and we can do it here.
Thank you very much. Very inspirational. Let's hear it for her again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Regent Bernstein, I wanted to tell you, you were listing a number of different diseases. You weren't bragging. It's actually true. You know, when you talk about the Caswell Diabetes Institute, it is the #1 recipient of NIH funding for diabetes. And you know, if you think about diabetes, specifically, or other complications like diabetic retinopathy, University of Michigan is second to no one. And so it's really, really important that we continue to support the research at the University of Michigan. Wouldn't you agree, Marshall?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. We're now going to move on to the Regents Committee reports. Regent White from the Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee.
Thank you, President Ono. The committee, including Regents Bernstein, Hubbard, Myers, and White, met with Executive Vice President and CFO Chattis and Director of University Audits Jeff Molich for a report on audit activity for the calendar year 2024.
Thank you very much. The Health Affairs Committee, Regent Beam.
Thanks, President Ono. The Health Affairs Committee, including Regents Brown, Hubbard, myself, along with EVPMA Runge and U of M Health President Miller, we met for an update on U of M Health, nursing, and finances. We also reviewed a number of informational reports. Thank you.
Thank you. The Personnel, Compensation, and Governance Committee, Regent White again.
Thank you. So the PCG met this morning with, including Regents Acker and White, with Provost EVP and EVP McCauley and EVP and CFO Chattis for discussion on the Regent and Human Resources restructuring.
Thank you very much for those reports. Before we go on with the consent agenda, we will vote on the conflict of interests. Items 8 to 27 on the agenda are conflict of interest items, each of which requires 6 votes. Does anyone have any questions or the need to request recusal from voting on any particular item? Regent Brown? Noted. Recusal from item 21, Regent Brown. On Vauxhall 51, Inc. Is there, noting that, is there a motion to approve items 8 to 20? Support. And 22 to 27? Second? A show of hands. I have to go through the roll call, and I don't have it. Regent Acker? Regent Bean? Regent Bernstein? Regent Brown? Regent Hubbard? Regent White? Regent Myers? We have needed 6 votes. Is there a motion to approve item 21, Vauxhall 51, Inc., with the recusal of Regent Brown? A second? Show of hands, once again, Regent Acker?
Yes.
Regent Bean? Yes. Regent Bernstein? Yes. Regent Hubbard? Regent White? Aye. Regent Myers? Yes. Motion carries. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. Chancellor Grasso has a report on Dearborn.
Thank you, President Ono. I am happy to report that at the end of January, I held the latest State of the University address that was followed by our Winter Carnival. And some of the highlights and takeaways from the address is that since 2018, our 4-year graduation rate has increased by 16%, which is remarkable. Half of our classes now are being taught in a practice-based mode, which makes them contextualized in society, and that goes beyond engineering and education and business into the humanities and the social sciences. And since 2018, our faculty and staff citations to their work has increased from 13,500 to 22,000 citations, which is, again, a remarkable increase. Our experts appeared in 119 major media outlets, which averages to more than 2 times a week. U of M Dearborn was cited. Also, since 2018, our awards and recommended awards have increased by 200%, which allowed us in the most recent Carnegie classification to move into the R2 category the first time in the university's history. Go Blue and go Dearborn.
Go Dearborn. Thank you very much, Domenico. On to Chancellor Alexander, who has a report on University of Michigan Flint.
Thank you, President Ono. The University of Michigan Flint has been awarded the largest research grant in its history. $3.3 million distributed over 5 years as part of a National Science Foundation initiative called Growing Research Access for Nationally Transformative Economic Development. The funds will be invested in growing U of M Flint's research capabilities, marking a significant step forward in the university's efforts to secure more external funding. The enhanced capacity will create new opportunities for industry partnerships and student research while developing a skilled regional workforce. The project's personnel will guide faculty through the many domains of research development and partnership building process. And following up on the theme of research grants, our College of Arts and Sciences and Education received a $495,000 grant from the Mellon Foundation. This grant will fund a faculty-led research project examining Flint's democratic practices outside traditional institutions. The project includes a community symposium, development of courses to provide students with immersive community engagement opportunities, and faculty workshops that will generate innovative curricula addressing democratic engagement. And finally, I am pleased to report that following our fall 2024 enrollment increase, winter enrollment has followed suit. This semester, U of M Flint has an overall enrollment of 6,335 students, an increase of 5.4% from last year. Included in that number is a 4.1% rise in undergraduate enrollment, a 9.5% increase in graduate enrollment, and this is the second consecutive increase in winter enrollment that we've experienced, and just the second winter increase since 2015. These figures, combined with increases of the last 2 fall semesters, have provided the Flint campus with momentum for our team to build upon through the next admission cycle. Well, President Ono, that concludes my report. Go Flint and go Blue.
Go Flint. Regent White.
Those numbers are incredible. Congratulations. That is really astounding. Good job.
Thank you. We have a great team.
I think you should take a little bit of credit for it. That really is remarkable. So congratulations.
Thank you. We have an outstanding team.
We move on to personnel actions, and they are in the book, but I understand Provost Macaulay has some comments about a special group of faculty.
Thank you. Thank you, President Ono. It is my privilege to highlight 5 faculty members who are being recommended for appointment as Thurnow professors. These professorships are named for Arthur F. Thurnow, a student at the University of Michigan from 1902 to 1904, and supported by the Thurnow Charitable Trust that was established through his will. This program is designed to honor those tenured faculty whose commitment to an investment in undergraduate teaching has had a demonstrable impact on the intellectual development and lives of their students. Michigan's exceptional students challenge us to create a rich, engaging learning environment in which our very best faculty are an integral part of the undergraduate educational experience. The Thurnow professorships help to recognize and reward outstanding faculty who devote their attention to this important endeavor. I'm pleased to recommend the following faculty members for this honor. Brian Arabic, Professor of Earth and Environmental Sciences in LS&A and Professor of Climate and Space Sciences and Engineering in the College of Engineering. Farina Mir, the Richard Hudson Research Professor of History, Associate Professor of History, and an Associate Professor in the Honors Program in LS&A. Ann Miller, Professor of Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology in LS&A. Ginger Schultz, Associate Professor of Chemistry and Associate Professor in the Honors Program in LS&A. And Aaron Ridley, Professor of Climate and Space Sciences and Engineering in the College of Engineering. Professor Ono, we have some awesome faculty on our campus, and I'm pleased to recognize them.
Thank you very much for taking the time to talk about each of them. And, we've had the honor to meet many of them, and they're extraordinary. And they really, really are the heart and soul of the institution. And they're very special. So thank you for taking the time to do so, Provost Macaulay. There are a number of retirements and memoirs and degrees in the book. And unless there are any additional comments about that, that concludes the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Motion carries. We now move on to the finance and property section of this meeting. We'll vote on items 1 through 6 as a group. I'll simply mention them and then ask for a motion second and any discussion. The finance and property items 1 through 6 are 403 Church Street, Ann Arbor, 617 East Huron Street, Ann Arbor Technology Park, Parcel E, University of Michigan Health, Canton Health Center, 1051 North Canton Center Road in Canton, Michigan Medicine, 24 Frank Lloyd Wright Drive in Ann Arbor, and the North Campus Research Complex, Building 26, first floor lab and office renovation as a group. Is there a motion to approve? Second.
Make a motion, sorry.
Wonderful. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The motion's carried. Next item has to do with the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute. In addition to that, VP Chattis, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Is there a motion? Second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. We now move to conflict of interest items 8 through 27. They were already approved on the earlier agenda to make sure we got to them. And we're now moving on to section 10. A proposed wind down of the University of Michigan Health Plan. VP Runge, do you have any comments?
Nothing to add.
Is there a motion? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The motion passes. Next item is the revision of the Board of Regents bylaws, Chapter 2, University Executive Officers. VP Kinsey, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Is there a motion? Second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes. We now are honored to have the Student Government Report. Central Student Government President, Mario Thaki. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you, President Ono. President Ono, members of the Board of Regents, and executive officers of the university, it is my pleasure to give the following report. My name is Mario, and I assumed the role of student body president in December following the impeachment of my predecessors. I'm a senior studying philosophy, politics, and economics with a minor in Arabic, and I'm also joined with my vice president, Mr. Jake Frederick, who is a junior studying international studies and communications. Although Jake and I recognize we have a shorter term than our previous administrators, we still have a very ambitious agenda for our term. We are very eager to work with you all on implementing these goals and creating tangible change on our campus. This past year has been an undeniably contentious one. Despite 2025 being labeled as the university's year of democracy, civic empowerment, and global engagement, community members have been silenced, peaceful protesters beaten, and students, faculty, and administrators targeted by violent, hate-driven attacks. Such hatred and suppression have no place at the University of Michigan, especially on a campus that prides itself on a rich history of student activism. This is why my administration and others are advocating for an ex officio student position on the Board of Regents, a standard practice across all other public Big Ten institutions. We also welcome the willingness of many of you to participate in candid conversations with student representatives in relation to these issues. This is the first step in recognizing and healing as a community. Additionally, students are finding it increasingly difficult to afford to live on our campus. While we are happy to see the university housing projects in progress, students will not feel the relief from these measures for years to come. Beyond housing, a large proportion of our students are also struggling with food insecurity due to rising prices and a lack of affordable grocery stores near our campus. In response to these growing concerns, my administration is working to implement infrastructure that alleviates these challenges. We are working with Jeff Chattis, M Dining, Parking, Logistics, and Transportation to expand transportation resources for grocery stores and provide a safe ride supplement for students during high-risk and late-night hours to eliminate safety concerns stemming from financial inequities. While there's so much more I would love to share with you all, please refer to my full written report for more details. Jake and I look forward to meeting and working with you all very, very soon. Stay warm and go blue. Thank you.
Before you leave, I just want to say something, and I know Regent Brown would too. First of all, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your frank comments. They're noted. I just wanted to say, we've spoken. I really, every time we've spoken, I've really enjoyed it, and I'm impressed with your passion on representing the student body. I hope we can continue to meet. I know that there will be a transition, and we want to continue to meet with those who follow you. When we meet, to continue to think about more opportunities for direct engagement beyond President's Council. Thank you for attending that as well. In even relaxed, more casual circumstances, I think that that kind of rapport is incredibly important between administration and students. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for asking for that. I've also had a chance in our conversations to hear about your innovative ideas about how to really address the cost of not only education, but everything that goes along with being a student here at the University of Michigan. As I had offered when we met, let's keep talking about how the university can support those very innovative efforts. So I just wanted to thank you for everything you do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
President Brown?
Yeah, I just wanted to second the president's comments. Mario, I met with you and your graduate colleague, as did some of my other regents, as I did with your predecessors. We had a very vigorous conversation. You are a zealous advocate for your constituents and your issues. All of the issues that you brought forth to me, I feel were legitimate. Some of the solutions may not be exactly as you envision initially, but I think they all deserve attention and solutions. And so not always easy, but thank you very much for your advocacy.
Thank you, Regent Brown. Appreciate it.
I want to just add the same. Mario, I've been really, it was great to meet with you as well, but can you all hear me, by the way? Like, nod up there. I just wanted to say that I appreciate.
Speak up, Jordan, a little bit. Just speak up.
I just wanted. I can't deal with the volume level. I just wanted to say I appreciate all of your hard work and your courage in a really difficult year, and I hope that we continue to work together and well, because I think there's a lot of things that we can do together. So thank you again.
Thank you, Regent Acker.
Mario, just real quick. Yeah. Thanks, President Ono. I'm glad to meet with you and Jake. We share a lot of the same interests. I've been working on the food insecurity issue and with regard to the pantry that we have on campus, but we need a grocery store much closer. And so, I'm glad to meet with you guys and appreciate all your work.
Yeah, that's a big priority of ours, so I appreciate that. We'll be sure to reach out. Thank you.
The last thing I'll say is that beyond central student government, Martino Harmon and Laura Blake Jones have been really working on a plan for increased engagement with multiple student groups. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Martina.
Thank you, President Ono. Yes, members of my team have been working on providing opportunities for President Ono and some of the other senior leaders at this table to engage with various different student groups. It could be informal settings or more formal meetings, and we look forward to executing on that plan, certainly right after spring break, for sure. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
I think we now move on to public comments. Is that correct? And Vice President Kinsey, over to you.
Thank you, President Ono. We're now moving into the public speaker section of the meeting. As part of the regular meeting agenda, the Regents set aside time for individuals to present comments to the board. All public board meetings are formal events convened under Article 8, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution. In keeping with reasonable and appropriate norms of decorum, all attendees, including speakers, should treat others with respect and civility. Individuals who are approved to speak will be expected to speak on the topic that was submitted during their registration submission, truthfully disclose any relevant organizational ties during the registration, and promptly cease speaking after the allotted time is allowed per speaker. Speakers that do not adhere to these rules may be precluded from addressing the board in future meetings. And this is in addition to the guidelines that are published as part of public commentary. With that, we'd like to call and welcome our first speaker, Marta Mandy. Welcome. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Thank you, President Ono and Regents. I'm Marta Manildi, LSA alum and president of Ann Arbor Wild Ones. Wild Ones are stewards of biodiversity. We advocate for landscapes that support life, and we oppose using Nichols Arboretum for any new public utility, notably for a section of the elevated train as envisioned in the Campus Plan 2050. Routing an elevated train through any part of the Arb will undermine its ecological integrity and reduce the welfare of all Arb users. The Arboretum has been a beloved sanctuary for hundreds of thousands of visitors every year, year after year. The university's own Nature RX initiative, which is endorsed by President Ono, has demonstrated that such exposure to nature improves human physical health and emotional well-being. The land in question is a unique and vulnerable ecosystem for wildlife and an essential sluice for rainwater. Any transit in the area will be better located along or above existing rights-of-way. The Pierpont to CCTC bus route appears to offer one potentially sound alternative. In an act of prescience in the early 20th century, the University Regents accepted a land gift from Walter and Esther Nichols, noting the special value of native trees and shrubs and a significant riverfront area to both citizens and students. The Regents embraced the land's location adjacent to a 23-acre city park. This is the area that we're now discussing, saying there shall be no fence between them, but they shall be open and common to the public. A century of development has now surrounded this protected land. A new massive superstructure over and through it will disrupt sightlines and will destroy critical habitats for native plants, insects, and birds foundational to food chains. It will exacerbate existing erosion and create new pathways for ruinous invasive species. The cascade of damages will be impossible to correct and compensate for. Please reaffirm now the wise commitments made by Regents more than a century ago and assure the preservation of every corner of the Arboretum. Thank you very much. And go blue.
Thank you, Marta. And now I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Bob Barnett. Welcome, Bob. You have 2 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Barnett, lead negotiator for the University of Michigan Flint AFT AAUP bargaining team. I am here to provide an update on our ongoing negotiations with management. We have been at the bargaining table since October 4th and have frequently found the process to be iterative and thoughtful. As a result, we have reached tentative agreements on many articles. These include matters of great concern to our members, such as maintaining our tenure protections, establishing our union's rights, and incorporating our university mission statement into our contract. Since January, however, our negotiations have turned to interest and proposals that require much more discussion. While negotiations continue to go well, we have now been negotiating for just over 4 months, and we are concerned that we have not yet seen quicker and more substantial movement from the university's team on several key issues. These include matters of shared governance and academic freedom, workload, course modality, and a series of economic packages. It has been 96 days, for example, since we have put the last of our economic proposals across the table, and we still have no response. Last week, the administration's team suggested that we will receive counterproposals soon, and we hope this is the case. Obviously, economics is of great interest to all of our members. In addition, without knowing where the economics is of great in addition, without knowing where the university stands on our economic proposals, it's becoming difficult to pass back viable counterproposals in other areas because at this point, so much of what is left to discuss intersects with economics. We are optimistic that as we move through these complex and challenging issues, we will see results. However, we ask you to emphasize to our administration the need to continue to carry on our negotiations in a spirit of mutual cooperation, compromise, and seeking common ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I'd now like to welcome our next speaker, Jim Mogensen. Welcome, Jim. You have 2 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Jim Mogensen to talk about Michigan medicine finances. There are three main things that I want to talk about. First is financing, second is footprint expansion, and the third is labor relations. So back in 2011, when you built Mott Hospital, initially there was a mixed model for financing the hospital, and it included reserves and philanthropy and some financing. And I spoke at the board and said I thought it was a good idea, since the UAW had just negotiated the contract to have less money available in the healthcare system, that maybe you should pull back on the financing. Alas, what ended up happening was it was fully financed, and then you started giving the nurses a hard time, right? Then in December of 2016, when you bought what is now University of Michigan West, right, you issued a bond, and that is where I learned that the bonds were secured with general fund money. Athletics and tuition and all of that was in the proposal for the bonds. I said, did you really get permission from the athletics department? And now we move forward, and the footprint expansion has become huge. And every time you do the capital expansions, right, you increase the risks. And so I hope that moving forward, as you move in the budget system, that people really understand how much capital has been bonded and what are the risks to the general fund. Because we now are in a place where, even at the time that I've been watching this, we are in a new era. And I was going to type out a handout to send to you all and to the press, but alas, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with Blue Cross Blue Shield trying to get coverage for a medication I need to stay out of the hospital. I think it's really important we have these 2-minute things. It's sort of like, you know, explain the impact of mathematics on science, right? Be comprehensive, right? Be specific and concise. But I did the best I could. Thank you very much.
Jim, you'd be pleased to know that the University of Michigan continues to have the highest possible bond ratings from the rating services.
Thank you. I'd like to now welcome our next speaker, Craig Smith. Welcome, Craig. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thanks, Craig Smith. I'm assessment librarian in the library. Came here initially as a postdoc in psychology. Just want to note that even though I'm going to say some things that feel negative, I want to acknowledge how many amazing and passionate people at this university keep me psyched about coming here every day. But I just want to say how recently I've been pretty heartbroken and disappointed in a time when hate has found a very explicit voice in the U.S. president and his fellows. Some of them give Nazi salutes in public at inaugurations. But the university has decided to be quiet about hate. In a way, I guess I'm also here to recognize that you all have a real tenacious commitment to staying safe in this context. As one of many examples, the government issued an executive order titled Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government, which read in part, across the country, ideologues who deny the biological reality of sex have increasingly used legal and other socially coercive means to permit men to self-identify as women and gain access to intimate single-sex spaces and activities designed for women, from women's domestic abuse shelters to women's workplace showers. prior to your institutional neutrality position, you might have fretted over whether to provide some degree of comfort to community members being hurt and dehumanized by these executive orders that are filled with stereotypes and are based in bigotry. But now you're free to communicate about such orders without concern for the university's moral stance or empathy for those who are being directly maligned and threatened. The university simply doesn't have an official moral stance on such issues anymore, although I think we might still have values somewhere. I feel like I'm going to be close to time on this, so I'm going to skip to the end of my statement. But I want to ask, what happens when those who have the most power and security don't name what's wrong? Some people around us, those with less protection, will start to disappear, both figuratively and literally in some cases. And in the midst of this, our university president has refused to acknowledge or address the fact that he was recorded admitting that he has not even been neutral. He's been intentionally avoiding attending to anti-Arab and anti-Muslim hate on this campus, for example. What happens when those with the most power and security don't name what's wrong and only pretend to be neutral?
Thank you, Craig. I'd like to next call upon Fiona Dunlop. Fiona? Nope. Okay. Then I'd like to next welcome Andrew Van Ball. Welcome, Andrew. You have 2 minutes to speak.
And down a little bit. The esteemed University of Michigan Board of Regents, President Ono, and other community members, my name is Andrew Van Ball, an LSA senior and current first-year C's grad student and born and raised Michigander. I speak to you today in my role as co-president of the Student Sustainability Coalition, a team of student leaders working through the Office of Student Life to build a sustainable campus culture. Part of this work includes facilitating the Student Sustainability Advisory Board. Since its creation in 2022 by President Ono, the board has convened to build relationships between students and administrators to accelerate climate action at UM. It is composed of students from the Student Carbon Neutrality Network, a coalition of over 20 climate-minded student organizations and governments. Together, we have played central roles in the Vision 2034 and Campus Plan 2050 projects, and to this day, we meet monthly with Associate Vice President Weber, Vice Provost Baker, and their teams. Through this work, we have built strong bonds and alignment on the most impactful next steps, including university-wide plans and reports. It is with resolve, in a moment many are calling uncertain, that we as students ask you to support forthcoming carbon neutrality efforts with the breadth, depth, and capital needed to reach zero emissions. While we watch the federal government dismantle important climate programs and watch climate change exacerbate disasters home and abroad, UM has a chance to reaffirm its position as a leader on a truly nonpartisan issue. A leader for the world, our nation, our state, and our students. In alignment with the Vision 2034 core impact areas, the efforts of Weber's and Baker's offices represent thoughtful strides towards not only fighting climate change, but also in providing invaluable student learning opportunities and supporting economic prosperity across our state. Because if UM cannot confidently lead in this moment with our commitments and resources, then who can? I hope these remarks have illustrated the importance of this moment and unity across campus on this issue. We as students look forward to continued collaboration in this challenging and important work. Thank you.
Can I just say that, some of the most enjoyable moments for me has been interacting with student leaders, and with the arrival of three truly widely respected experts. I hope you're enjoying those interactions.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for taking the time to come to us and to talk about how it's really important that we remain focused on what's in our vision, what's in our campus plan. Certainly I think that echoes the sentiments of a lot of people in the community. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, President Ono.
Thank you, Andrew. I'd like to now call upon our next speaker, Suad Abdul Kabir. Suad? Oh, okay. And then I'd like to welcome our final speaker, Anne-Marie Tubas. Welcome, Anne-Marie.
Dear Regents, I'm the Director of Dutch Studies, affiliate faculty member in Judaic Studies, and co-author of the Anti-Racism in the Language Programs report. I teach one of the largest Holocaust courses on our campus, a course that has its large and diverse student body because it is a designated LSA race and ethnicity course that teaches students about the links between racism and anti-Semitism. And while this campus devolved into the divides that it did after October 7th, my students of all racial, ethnic, and religious backgrounds walked out of class together, not toward the diag, but straight into each other's hearts and histories. I'm sorry. DEI curricula, at their best, can and should connect all our students if people like me can continue to do our jobs. It's never been a popular job to build bridges. When I first applied for the race and ethnicity designation, I was questioned how this curriculum would teach about race. Truly a shocking question about a course that teaches students how 6 million people were murdered because the Nazis considered them an inferior race. I took this divide between racism and anti-Semitism as an inspiration to build the first program on our campus that puts the teaching about anti-Semitism smack at the center of an anti-racist curriculum. This is possible, but today I am worried. Today there are some institutions that are using President Trump's anti-DEI orders to eliminate their race and ethnicity designations requirements. So let me be specific what that would mean on our campus. Currently, 700 U of M students per four-year cohort are receiving the institutional push in my class to learn to build bridges, to learn about each other's identities, to learn that the study about anti-Semitism is DEI. And so I appeal to the Regents to continue their strongest support for the LSA race and ethnicity designation requirement. Thank you.
I don't know, were you here when I gave my opening remark?
Yes, I heard you, and so this is very preemptive, but I'm worried, and a lot of people are worried about race and ethnicity.
I completely understand, but if it comforts you at all, I've not heard any conversation of that sort. I know which institution you're referring to.
UNC, for example.
I know. I said I know.
Yeah.
But I have not heard any such conversation.
On our campus?
I don't talk to everyone on the campus.
Okay.
But, that's why I said what I said.
Okay. I am very relieved to hear that. I think this is how we need to keep teaching building bridges. So I'm just asking that you keep thinking this way as a Regents.
So I can repeat the sentence I said, but
yes, I would love for you to repeat it.
But it's recorded. But it's really the academic freedom for our faculty and students, curriculum, a scholarship, in my view, remains with the faculty. So it's sort of a shortened version of what I said, but that's why I said it, and I hope that you'll take that with you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just want to say thank everyone who spoke today, but importantly, I want to thank Mr. Smith for his words. The directives from the federal government about LGBTQ plus care I find revolting, and the fact that the federal government, based on some political or moral or religious basis, will dictate to doctors and patients their care is wrongheaded and taken to its ridiculous conclusion, which is happening right now, dangerous. But in terms of institutional neutrality, it's been said before, I just want to repeat it. I was a supporter of that policy for the very reason to allow me and any of you to speak out on an issue that you feel strongly about, and not have to do that in the face of an institutional position that may differ. You can understand how difficult that would be for a person. This institution is just made up of its people, and I want everyone in there who is a lot smarter than me to have their voice heard. And so that's the reason I support institutional neutrality. So thank you for speaking.
Thank you, Regent Brown. Any other comments? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.